Our history is woven with the stories of those we serve. At Max, we've been a good community partner for 65 years. Max is dedicated to providing dependable financial services and to supporting our communities. We volunteer our time and share our resources. As a credit union, we've returned millions of dollars back to our members, local nonprofits, and small businesses. Max is honored to be a part of your story. We look forward to serving you for years to come.
Let's rock! It's Rocktober at Premier. Rock out in a new Ram with rock bottom prices. Save up to $17,777 on new Ram Crew Cab. New Jeep Renegade. Start at $17,988. Shop us now. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
Napa know-how.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Michael.
Good morning and welcome to Today in L.A. I'm Mike Amos, he's Bill Rice Jr., and we're ready to go on a Wednesday. And of course, heading toward Halloween and trick-or-treating and fall festivals everywhere. Brought to you by Premier, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass in Troy. And of course, Jason and the great friends of mine over there, boy, they're dealing like they've never dealt before. Rock bottom prices on some of the best vehicles you'll find anywhere, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeeps, and Ram trucks. How's it going, Rice?
It's going well. I was telling you off air that I went to another soccer game last night. Maggie's team won. Maggie's team has a player, Mike, that is like a 9-year-old Pele.
Oh, they can fly?
He's super quick.
Oh, it's a he?
It's a he.
It's boy and girl?
Boy and girl. So it's co-ed league, and he is fun to watch. Our team overmatched the other team, and this young man's daddy is the coach. So he took him out a couple of quarters and was really nice, you know. But I think this young man had 6 goals and could have had 7. There should have been another one.
Yeah. All right, coming in loud and clear. Good morning. How you doing?
Hi, morning.
Mike Amos from Grayton Beach, Florida. How's the weather down there? Can you see the sun coming up over to your left?
I'm still at your condo in Panama City Beach, Florida.
What are you doing in my house?
Are you eating yours?
You better not eat up everything in my cupboard.
We've been doing renovations to our house, and we had Millie's birthday party down here last night, and she got a bicycle.
Did she really? Did she have fun? Did she have fun riding it?
Yeah, my wife got both my girls tablets where they can watch movies and play games and watch all their Disney and Nick Jr. stuff. And I don't think we're ever going to have a conversation with our kids again.
Might be that. We're in that same category, Michael. Yeah.
Well,
we're having a good time down here. Hopefully, this is our last day, and we can get back in our house tomorrow.
Well, we're glad you're safe at home, and of course, Millie's 3rd birthday. Is that right?
That's right. Millie's 3, and Mary Prater turned 4 in August. I mean, they grow up pretty fast. It's kind of crazy.
Mary Prater will be older than 4, won't she? She'll be 5, won't she?
Yeah, they're 14 months apart. So Mary Prater turned 4 in August, and Millie turned 3 October 20th.
God, so Millie...
They're 2 years apart in school.
Yeah.
Mary Prater's the youngest in her class, and Millie's one of the oldest in her class.
And where do they go to school down there? They go to...
We have kind of one of those weird August birthdays where you can go either way.
Oh, really? Well,
I had one of those. I'm my August birthday, and so I was one of the youngest in my class. But you know what helped me? My birthday's August 1st, and the cutoff age deadline in Dixie Youth Baseball was July 31st. So if you were born after July 31st, you could play one more year in Dixie Youth. Yeah, so I was obviously the oldest player in Dixie Youth Baseball my last year, and that gives you an advantage.
Yeah. Mike, I was.
Richard Calhoun was like that. You know, he was the biggest, tallest, strongest kid out there, and he was playing with all those young kids like another year growing up in rec leagues. It was always so funny to see him out there.
Well,
he was like a giant compared to everybody else.
I think I was in baseball would have been after 7th grade, heading into 8th grade, and you know there were maybe I can count them. Butch Phelps, y'all remember Butch Phelps, Trooper
Butch.
Phelps' son, and then the Mark Baker, whose daddy was the superintendent of education.
Yeah.
Those were
James A. Baker Field. I bet I've said it 100 times, I mean 1,000 times.
They were in my
James A.
class,
Baker
and they
Field.
also played in Dixie Youth. We had a tournament team that year that finished second in the state.
Yeah.
Almost won and at that time, no Troy team had ever even won a state championship. So.
All right, let's get off of that, and let's get off of something that's real important, especially to Brantley Bulldog fans. There will be no Charles Henderson Brantley football game. So Brantley, you have to wait another year to beat Charles Henderson. What do you think?
Well, that's what I hear from my wife, that's a teacher at Charles Henderson. The Charles Henderson season is over. Has to do with one or two Carroll players that tested positive after the Carroll Troy game, and they have decided that they need to quarantine everybody that was on defense on the field the same time as this center for Ozark. So for 14 days, not only can they not practice, they can't go to school. Now there's nobody.
They like that part of it, won't they?
For a couple of days, I think you like it, but you get bored. But
they're just going to go off no testing. I mean, you're not even going to see if you even had the virus. I mean, this is kind of bizarro world to me.
That's my opinion too. I mean, nobody's tested positive, nobody's sick, but that's where we are.
Well, there will be a W on both Headland and Brantley's schedule.
Can the rest of these players that didn't get to finish their season transfer to play Liberal Arts now?
I doubt it.
If they were in the SEC, they probably could, couldn't they? You can play right away now.
Well, we got a big game coming up this weekend. I'm excited about it. Pike Liberal Arts are going against number 1 Glenwood.
Let's continue. It's sad for especially the senior players that, you know, they had a rough season, but then they had their biggest win and had 2 games left on the schedule. You would think they'd have a decent chance of winning, so they could have finished with 3 straight wins, but not to be.
Yeah, no question about it.
Well, I mean, it's a tough times at Charles Henderson. I don't know how you turn it around.
It's been how does the wording go? It's been a hard day's tonight.
Yep.
They're coming off a 3-7, a 4-6, and now a 1-8. Of course, 2 games are forfeited now, but I mean, I don't know. When's the last time Charles Henderson's had 3 straight losing seasons?
I don't know. Long time. Let's just throw history away. History was good, and now we got to start something new, you know.
Well, you go in cycles. You just hope that your down periods aren't too long.
Well, I'm worried about the school, about the prosperity of the school, and will it continue to be strong, you know, and the band program's down like it's never been. I think I counted 50 the other day. And the Rehoboth had about close to 200. And, these are things that are important to our schools, you know, to keep, interest in, football and band and whatever other programs that they have at the school.
I've always said your town goes as your public school system goes, and then your public school system goes as your extracurricular activities go. I mean, that's sports teams, but also band, debate. You know, the more quality programs you have, the more students who are engaged, and the more interest there is in the community.
Let me ask you this: have you ever heard of Anniston, Alabama?
I have.
Wouldn't you think Anniston, Alabama was actually a bigger town than Troy?
Yeah,
Anniston.
It is.
Well, a few years back they lost their public schools, and hey, they have dwindled.
Mm-hmm.
Now the towns to the north and the south of them have done better because a lot of people have moved over to what's that town off the interstate, Mike? It's got
Oxford.
Oxford. A lot of them have moved to Oxford. and Walter E. Wellborn High School, Van Aniston, and those folks right there. But
well, just look at our Montgomery, our neighbor to the north, and see how all the people that migrated to first Prattville maybe, and then Millbrook, and then Wetumpka, and now Pike Road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And of course, more power to them. If they want to go to a vibrant school, instead of a school that is having to give up football, that's the way Charles Simpson's being looked at. That's what example I'm trying to set here. Of course.
Well, I mean, they're going to say the total opposite. They're going to say that they're looking at the best interest of these kids, and they don't want to risk, some kids.
Oh yeah, I understand that too. You're right.
And getting the virus, but I mean, a lot of it comes down to just a horrible season in football. I mean, if you were 6-1, 7-1, you had a chance to go to the playoffs. I mean, these two games obviously don't mean anything to Charles Henderson. I don't think they would have gotten the playoffs either way.
I tell you what, you're going to see. You're going to see much.
I mean, the Brantley loss would have been a very devastating loss to anybody that played at Charles Henderson, went to Charles Henderson, losing to a 1A school. No matter how powerful they are at 1A, 1A shouldn't beat a 5A.
Yeah. Well, another thing that you're going to see more of, you're probably going to see more of homeschools and things like that. Just why even risk it? And again, we are concerned with these young people's lives, and this virus that's going out. I'd probably do something like that. Why risk it? Why risk it?
Well, I mean, obviously people are sending their kids back to school. I mean, throughout the state. I mean,
a lot of them are doing it because they've got to go back to work, and they've got to have a place to take their child, whether it's homeschooled or back to the public schools, or what are they going to do? Or pay for somebody to
some schools are just going back to in-person classroom instruction right now. I think Montgomery and Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, Montgomery, yeah, you're right.
So I'm wondering. I wonder just how do these parents provide child care for their kids from really middle of March all the way to middle of October? You just couldn't let children stay at home by themselves unsupervised.
Right. You're right, and I bet you there's a lot of them out there from 12. Oh, my kid's 12 years old. She can stay at home and take care of the kids. That kind of.
There's probably a lot of 12-year-olds that were taking care of 5-year-old sisters and brothers.
We're going through some tough times, and I'm worried about it. And the time, our economy, and it's just some tough times are ahead. Looks like, and it doesn't look like that virus has gone anywhere.
Let's just say 2020 has been the worst year I've ever experienced in my lifetime. I don't know of another horrible year other than this year.
You're right, and
it can only get better in 2021. I hope.
And if you think about it, Alabama, Troy University were booming before all of this happened. The university was approaching 8,000 students on campus, which is tremendous for Troy, and more than that, are being educated across the country and across the world, and Troy University athletics. I cannot think of a better time for them. I think their football program's coming, their basketball program's really getting better and better, and baseball, and now we're going to start all over again come next fall. The same players and everything can participate. In a way, if you're an athlete, Mike, it's a pretty good thing for them. What do you think?
Well, I mean, Troy basketball and football had rough years last year. They're 5-7, and the basketball team went 9-23. It's one of the worst records of all time. So maybe all that will get better this year, actually, in 2020.
Well, and exactly right. And what they're doing, they're just trying to turn it all around.
Baseball started 8-0, and then they finished 9-8. Now, the team that really suffered were women athletics last year. The Lady Trojans basketball team won the Sun Belt Conference, couldn't even compete in the NCAA tournament. And then the softball team had their best team ever last year before it ended.
Good
exactly
point.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Well, you think about Pike LeBlanc's baseball team. They
would have won their third straight.
They were going to win the state championship again, unless the unforeseen happened. So yeah.
Well, what do y'all think is Tua time in Miami? Tua Tagovailoa is now the quarterback for the Miami
Mike, he's not going to beat out the one he's got. Gailey likes the one they got. Why shut the door on him?
Dad, it became official yesterday that they've been off week and Tua will be the starter.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, it's official.
Big news.
Yeah, all right, now, but the other guy was
doing good. Yeah.
Was really playing good, and in fact, he was a young man that had been coached by Chan Gailey. I bet you Chan Gailey didn't want this to happen, but money counts. Don't you know? Tua will bring a lot of people to the stadium.
I mean, Fitzpatrick is a journeyman quarterback. I mean, he's played 14 years. He threw 2 more interceptions, even though they beat the Jets 24-0. It's time. It's actually coming up on almost a year since he injured against Mississippi State.
Yeah. We want to take a short break. We'll be right back.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Our history is woven with the stories of those we serve. At Max, we've been a good community partner for 65 years. Max is dedicated to providing dependable financial services and to supporting our communities. We volunteer our time and share our resources. As a credit union, we've returned millions of dollars back to our members, local nonprofits, and small businesses. Max is honored to be a part of your story. We look forward to serving you for years to come.
Let's rock! It's Rocktober at Premier. Rock out in a new Ram with rock bottom prices. Save up to $17,777 on new Ram Crew Cab. New Jeep Renegade start at $17,988. Shop us now. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
Napa know-how.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa know-how. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa know-how team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Napa know-how.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Most teams have fans now.
I think Miami only allows fans. I don't know. Tampa Bay allows fans. I don't know. To me, some teams don't allow any at all.
Back to our show, and we're talking about Tua. It will be live and well this weekend as the Miami Dolphins.
Next weekend.
Is it next weekend?
They got
live this weekend?
So smart. They got a bye week, so he'll get 2 weeks of practice to get ready.
Oh, yeah. So Tua, and right now Miami's pretty hot right now, Mike.
I think they're 3-3.
Yeah, and they're playing good football.
I mean, this got reported yesterday by Adam Scheffner, the ESPN reporter. I mean, Todd Fitzpatrick has actually played 16 years in the NFL.
Who is that?
The guy that's been starting.
Fitzpatrick has played 16 years in the NFL.
No way.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
He's a lot younger than that, Michael. Where are you reading that Fitzpatrick's been playing that long?
I mean, he came out of Harvard. I mean, he's played 16 years.
You're telling me he's been in the NFL for 16 years?
That's what it said.
That guy's not even that old.
He got the
but
best.
he did play for Gailey, I think. We'll have to find out some more. Surely he's not that old.
You know, they brought two in last.
Ryan Fitzpatrick is 37 years old.
All right, well, he's older than I thought.
They brought two in last week in the last minutes of the game, mop-up duty, and he threw two passes for 9 yards, 2 for 2. You say, well, that's not impressive. But then I watched the highlights of those two passes. They were short passes, but the receivers were really covered, and he put the ball right where he had to put it, like he always did.
You know something about it, though, if you'll think about it, he never had to run much. He was able to get the ball off, and never had to run much. Let me tell you something. In the pros, he's got to run for his life. We're gonna get killed. I'm being facetious, but at the same time, boy, these pro quarterbacks that can't get out of trouble, they don't last very long.
It's a shame that he's been injury prone, and I think he'll continue to be injury prone because some people are.
Ryan Fitzpatrick was the Ivy League Player of the Year in 2004. He threw for almost 2,000 yards, 13 touchdowns, 6 interceptions.
Well, that stuns me. I knew he had a big beard, but I didn't know he was that old.
He led Harvard to a 10-0 record that year. He threw rush for 500 yards.
And did he play for Gailey when Gailey was the coach at Dallas?
No, for the Bills. So
he
started his career with the Rams in 2005. Then he went to the Bengals. Then he went to the Buffalo Bills from 2009 to 2012. That's when Gailey was there.
Was Gailey the head coach at the Bills, or was he a coordinator?
No, he was the head coach.
He's been the head coach at Dallas and the Buffalo Bills.
And Georgia Tech.
That's correct.
And Georgia Tech, and Troy, and Sanford.
And Sanford, yeah.
And the World League of America.
And the World League from America. And he's from what town in Georgia?
I know.
America.
Yeah, Michael got it.
America's.
Who else is from America's Georgia?
Dan Reeves.
Who else is from America's Georgia?
Jerry Reeves.
Who else is from America's Georgia?
Colin McCreary.
Colin McCreary, yeah.
The All-American Colin McCreary, of course, we appreciate him so
Colin
much.
is buddies with Chan Gailey.
Oh, yeah, no question about it. And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm being a little bit, I don't know if Chan Gailey had a better friend than me when he was here in Troy. I know this, the day he left, or the day he made the decision to leave Troy, he pulled up my driveway and said, Mike, I wanted you to be the first to know. I'm out of here. And it was one of the sad days of my son's life because he lost his best friend.
My best friend was Tate Gailey, yeah. I always wonder what sports would have been like growing up in Troy with Tate the whole time. He was such a great athlete.
Well, I tell you what, I was going to say something about that. My front yard was full of kids playing football every day when Tate Gailey was in town. I've never seen a kid catch a football in the front yard any better than he did. I mean, if it was in the air, he's going to catch it.
Well, how did he end up playing high school ball or keep playing that throughout his career?
Did he play at Sanford, Mike?
Who, Tate?
Yeah.
I don't know. He was a starting wide receiver.
At Hoover?
At Vestavia for 3 years.
Yeah. I know this. He could sure catch it.
Yeah.
And but what a wonderful young man Chan Gailey was growing up here in town. And like you said, your grandmother lived right across the street from him. And hey, he was very kind to her, wasn't he?
He sure was. He's just a class man all around.
And your daddy used to talk about how nice he was to, and of course he was a deacon in the First Baptist Church. I mean, you know how these long flights are, especially in football.
Or bus rides.
A lot of times they wouldn't even get back in town till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And
Gailey played at Florida. They always talked about him, possibly for the Florida job at throughout his career.
And you know what? He never started at Florida. He had to play against Reeves.
He was a backup quarterback, wasn't he?
Yeah, backup quarterback. And but
it's like Gailey, and then you talk about Gailey and all the places he's been, and then you talk about Rick Russ and all the places he's been, and it's amazing what those lives have had to go through.
These three names I'm gonna call out not only made their presence as a football coach, but as great human beings and great Christian men. And I'm talking about Chan Gailey, Rick Rhodes, and J. Jeffcoat. Those were three of the finest men that's ever been through these ever walked these sidewalks in Troy, Alabama.
I mean,
They were all
these are the type of people
Christian laymen.
you want to be around your kids and be role
That's
models.
right.
That's why I'm happy that they played football this year, because thousands of kids are getting to be around these
Good
role
role
models. Yeah,
That's right.
but
You know, my role models, you know, of course, my heroes growing up. Mike, who was my heroes growing up? Let me see if you know.
Leon Hilliard, Henry Greer, Pete Farah, the great your football coach, Coach Sadler.
Yeah. Then who am I?
Chase Riddle?
Sheryl Crow.
Sheryl Crow, yeah, Sheryl Crow was one of my heroes. You're right, no question. When I was a young boy, I was sitting there eating a dill pickle watching him play basketball.
Tommy Murphy?
Played Bert Green a lot.
Yeah, and Tommy Murphy, you're right. Bill Rice. They were heroes of mine. Ronnie Lindsay was a hero of mine growing up. And, boy, you're right. There's a lot of guys. Ronald Giddings, the great Ronald Giddings, who might, I don't know if y'all have ever heard that name, Ronald Giddings.
I have.
But he might be the best athlete that ever come through Troy.
Wow.
Overall.
You like Richard Williford a lot.
Like Richard Williford, my dear friend, and we played in the front yard. I'm going to say this probably with tears in my eyes. I can still see him running 90 yards for a touchdown against Andalusia to win the football game.
Wow.
And he was my buddy that lived up the street. We played in the front yard together. And he's not with us anymore. Neither is Sonny Williford. He's not with us anymore. Two of the all-time greats in football in Troy, Alabama. Sonny Williford and Richard Williford, first cousins.
You know, you get emotional like my dad did. I remember him talking to him about Bobby Marlowe one time. We were cooking steaks in the backyard, and I think Bobby Marlowe had just got inducted posthumously into the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame, and Dad started talking about him. You know, Bobby Marlowe had a rough life later on. There were some challenges he had to overcome. And Dad he broke down and started crying. We were talking about Bobby Marlowe.
Oh, yeah, the pride and the glory of Troy, Alabama. And, of course, those guys were. And,
I wish I could see some Bobby Marlowe clips. I don't know if I've ever watched him when he was at Alabama.
Me too, Michael, I would.
Well, let me tell you this. I have, and I saw one of them where they played in the Orange Bowl. And they beat somebody 66 to nothing. Syracuse beat Syracuse in the Orange Bowl. And one of the running backs was Bobby Marlowe, and the other running back was the guy that jumped off the bench and
tackled the guy at Rice.
Yeah, Tommy. What was his name from Greenville, Alabama?
Yeah, that's Tommy something.
That jumped off the bench in the Cotton Bowl and tackled Dickie Magle, who was running for a touchdown and of course they gave him the touchdown. Tommy Lewis, the great one out of Greenville, and of course, everybody thinks of him as just the guy that jumped off the bench, but in that Orange Bowl game, he and Marlowe rushed together for over 200 yards.
Marlowe, I think, had 200 yards in it.
Yeah.
You can look at a picture of Marlowe and just see that he was rock solid, big, strong.
And he was raised at the Baptist Children's Home. Of course, he didn't have a mama or daddy that lived there with him, and and then just think how he was like a giant of a man over all those kids from the home. This should be Max Howell coming in. Mike, I'm gonna put you on hold and bring you right back. Good morning. You're on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Hi, this is Express Update. Large says Studio 52 Productions.
No, telemarketer.
Oh, this is Telemarker 3 or Telemarker 4?
Bye-bye.
Good morning and welcome back to our show, Mike. Are you doing all right this morning? Hello. Listen to this. Are you serious? Where is this information coming from?
Internet. You can find anything.
All right, Mike, let's see if we...
I watched the clip of that. That's pretty amazing.
Oh, gosh. And it showed him jumping off the bench.
And then he runs right. He makes the tackle. He
went back to the sideline and tried to hide.
Hello, Greenville. Did he really try to hide?
Alabama Alabama got beat 28-6 in that game.
Yeah, and you know what? The thing about it, he did it without a helmet. You know, at least he should have wore a helmet. Isn't that right? Did he do it without a helmet?
That's right, yeah. He kind of clipped the guy, too.
Oh, gosh. Well, now, how would you like to be Dickie Magle? Roll, I'm running for a touchdown. There's nobody in front of me.
Boom.
I'm going to run for a touchdown. And then in a minute, bang.
Yeah, he had a famous quote after that later. What did he say? Tommy Lewis.
I got too much Bama in me?
He said, I'm too full of Alabama or something like that.
I'm too full of Alabama.
I can relate. He just snapped.
Exactly. Maybe this is Max. Let's see. Let's go right here. Good morning. You're on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Max, how you doing?
Max, how you doing? Of course, Max Howell calling in from Fulton, Mississippi. How's the weather up there in northern Mississippi?
Supposed to be 85 today, Mike. The hottest day we've had in a few days.
Well, I tell you, no question about it. Let me bring Michael back in. I got him on hold. I'll bring him back in right here. I got both of you. Is that right?
Yeah, man.
And we just heard something from old Alabama football lores. It's about Tommy Lewis, who was actually from Greenville, Alabama, who jumped off the bench in the
Cotton Bowl,
and tackled Dickie Magle off the bench.
Yep.
Did you remember that happening, Max?
I was listening to that ball game on the radio. I remember it well.
And Michael just ran the actual broadcast. Is that right?
What did the radio announcers say, Max? That.
Well, I mean, you know, they didn't believe it. They didn't know what happened at first. I mean, that was he just stepped off the over the sideline to make the tackle, and of course, after he went down, they saw the different colored jerseys. It was quite a. My dad was a huge Alabama fan. I think he went 22 years and never missed a home game.
Oh boy!
So I grew up in that family environment. I told you guys before. Dad was a huge Alabama. He played 1 year of basketball there, then went off to the war and then came back. And my mom was an Auburn graduate. He was the first licensed vet in the state of Alabama. So I grew up in a split household.
Even back then.
Absolutely. I was in the.
Well, Max, what did you think about the Alabama Georgia game? Were you shocked that Alabama pulled away and beat them by 17?
No.
No, he liked Alabama all the way.
I mean, no, Kirby probably will never win a championship, Michael. The guy has got flaws in his. He's a great recruiter. He's a good organizer. He can't coach in the sideline. He makes too many mistakes. I document every one. I watched every championship game he's ever played. He lost a game because he put the kids.
That walk-on quarterback slowly got worse and worse as the game went on. I think he lost.
Well, he's 5'9". He's 5'9".
You know, I didn't realize that he was so small.
Oh yeah, they're trying to throw over the middle. Why don't roll him out? I don't know. I mean, the kid's a good kid, and and he's adequate for him. But look, Kirby's always made mistakes, guys, for the quarterback position. Go back and look. He let Eason get away. He let Fields get away. He let the kid from Wake Forest get away. And he stood for Fromm. You go back and look. Fromm never got better from the day he stepped on that campus till he walked off at the end of his junior year. And he'll never make it in the NFL either, by the way.
Exactly. And I bet, I've got a feeling that this guy won't be the quarterback this week. I bet it'll be a new quarterback at Georgia.
Start. Yeah, I think he's going to start, but they're getting Daniels ready to play. But there's something wrong there, too, guys. I don't know why he's not healthy. He can't learn the system. I don't know. Now, I will say this to you. If Kirby's running against that first defense, that's the reason he ain't playing. That defense is pretty doggone good now.
Yeah.
I tell you.
Oh, yeah, you're right. No question about it. I tell you what, something I noticed about them, Max, they'd hit you. Buddy, hey, Alabama's great running back had a great day, but let me tell you something. I bet he had more bumps and bruises the next day than normal. They would hit you, buddy. Those Georgia guys would.
I think you go back and check, and this is Michael. I can look at on your record. I think Mark Rick had more wins up to now in the same length of time he was at Georgia than Kirby's got.
Yeah.
And Kirby's, hailed as the next greatest coach on the planet by those guys over there. But I'm just telling you, if you analyze the game and week by week, the mistakes he makes on the sideline will never let him win a championship.
Of course, Mark Rick is out of coaching now.
They got an off week and they travel to Kentucky to play on the 31st on Halloween.
Let me ask you something before we get off Mark Rick. You coached with Mark Rick, Max, at Florida State. Was he a real genuine person? Somebody told me he was one of the nicest people you'd ever meet.
That's what happened to him, Mike. That's why he finally. I think he ended up having a stroke or a heart attack at Miami.
Yeah.
It was very quiet. It was mild.
Well, Bowden loved him, didn't he? Bowden, he was like a son to Bowden, wasn't he? And when he left, it hurt Florida State.
He exemplified what Coach Bowden's all about, and I think that was his identity. I mean, I sit in so many staff meetings with him, and Mark always was the first one to speak after Coach Bowden did. See, our staff meetings were a little bit better. Every coach had to get up and speak every morning.
Was there a lot of difference in the personalities of Mark Rick and Andrews?
Oh my God! Are you kidding?
Andrews had so much tobacco in his mouth that have you ever seen him when he didn't have a chew in his mouth?
I'm gonna tell you something. Mickey spit on your breakfast.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah.
Look, you've heard me tell those stories before. I love that was probably one of my greatest opportunities there because of the level we played. We was always in the national picture and all that stuff. But you're talking about a discrepancy between the head guy and Mickey and Chuck Amato.
Oh, man, there were too many personalities, wasn't it, on that staff?
Listen, I've seen fights in
Oh, yeah. I would think Andrews and Amato would be in a fight. I call Amato big chest.
Almost every day. But he wasn't quick enough. He wasn't quick as Mickey.
Yeah.
Mickey hurt you now. I saw Mickey Andrews coach spring training. He had just had a double hip replacement from a chair.
Yeah.
He sat in the chair the whole spring.
Yeah.
He was a tough nut.
And he's from Ozark, Alabama. Andrews and Billy Knowles. Billy Knowles and Mickey Andrews, two of the great running back tandems of all time in high school football.
Very true, buddy. I'm telling you, that was two great ones.
And of course, Amato went on to North Carolina State and was a pretty good coach up there. And then, of course, Rick went on to Georgia.
Yeah. Well, you remember Mark left 1 year with the East Carolina.
Yeah.
And came back after 1 year. He hated that. He hated being a head coach. And then, because he didn't have all the amenities, that he was accustomed to.
All right, now, and answer this true and false here. When Amato and Rick left, Florida State sort of went down. Is that right?
Well, there was another one left in between there, too, was Brad Scott.
Yeah.
Brad Scott ran the recruiting. He went to South Carolina as a head coach. He lasted 4 years. And then, oddly enough, you've heard me tell that story before, you know where he has been since then? He's been at Clemson.
Yeah.
He's the one that designed Dabo's recruiting system at Clemson, and it mirrored what we did at Florida State.
And back then, Florida State had the recruiting. They won the recruiting wars prior to Saban every year, didn't they?
We were doing it, Florida State, in the mid-'80s to the mid-'90s. We were doing what Alabama's doing now. We were playing at that level. We played for a national championship about 5 or 6 times. We lost 2 to wide rights. Everybody in the country knows that. But we had the talent. When I left Escambia High School, where we had the #1 high school team in America, 19 Division I players in 2 years there, I went to Florida State. We had 9 first and second rounders, draft picks. Our whole secondary were first round picks, and that was in the end of '88 season. That was Leroy Butler, Deion Sanders, Dedrick Dodge, and Stan Chapel. All of them went the first round. All of them started.
Well, let me ask you this: Did Florida State hire you thinking they were going to get Emmitt Smith?
Well, Nicky thought he thought we had an E in that. Now let's say that.
Well, you were his coach at Escambia High School in Pensacola.
Yeah, but see, Emmitt wanted to go to Auburn. He wanted to
You mean tailback U? He wanted to go to tailback U, didn't he?
Absolutely. He wanted to beat Bo Jackson's records is what he wanted.
Uh-huh.
And that was an illegal went on. I followed that recruiting process very closely. But there was an attorney there in Pensacola that the law school at the University of Florida is named after, by the way.
Yeah.
Emmett's mom and dad both worked for him at two different businesses. And I remember the story that came out from that. I didn't hear it. I wasn't privy to sitting in with him, but I heard it firsthand that the attorney says, "Look, guys, I know y'all like your job, and we want y'all to stay here, but I think Emmett needs to go to Florida." And that's all it was ever said.
Was there any money change hands? Or do you think any money changed hands there?
If it did, it was just in a part of raises for the parents.
Yeah, I got
He came from a two-parent family. They had 5 kids. But I'm saying that was in the days of there was no limit on recruiting. I've taken him home in the afternoon, guys. There'd be 20 cars. Assistant coaches at his house.
Oh, Bud used to hide. Bud used to tell the stories about how he used to hide in a closet, and when an Alabama recruiter would come in.
Emmett had over 200 scholarship offers.
Yeah.
His senior year in high school.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was just a unique individual.
He's a great guy. You know, we were talking about prior to you calling in. We're talking about Tua. Looks like he's going to finally get the start, but Chan Gailey is a perfect type coach for somebody like Tua to have right there during his stage of his career, because he's not going to try to overwork the guy.
Well, here's the thing, though. He's got to get protection at that level, because, you know, regardless of what, we all love him to death. He's highly, highly talented, but he has an injury problem. I mean, we all know that. But so that means he's got to be protected to the next level. And I'm sure they've worked, you know, the hot routes out for him, and they put him back another half a step in the gun. There's some real things you can do.
Max Howell, our guru, ladies and gentlemen, one of the top football analysts in the country, and I know you own a lot of different shows each week. What is everybody saying? Is this going to be a Alabama-Clemson shootout for the championship or what?
And I think it's going to be the best we've ever had. I'll be honest with you. And you know, that thing about all the Alabama, and I know Bill sit there with you, but I can tell you from inside, the reason Ole Miss ran up and down the field on them, they didn't even practice for Ole Miss. They were looking for Georgia for 2 weeks.
Do you think so? Well, I tell you what, you know, that play fast deal, Ole Miss put it on a show on that, you know, they ran it the way it's supposed to. There were a lot of times in the Ole Miss game where Alabama's linemen were just standing straight up. I mean, they weren't even in position. I mean, in a hitting position.
And you're right, and that was by design because of Kiffin and his experience in Alabama. But why did they do that against Arkansas?
Yeah, I know it. I understand. And the key against Alabama was they're going to wear them down, and they weren't going to let them substitute. And by not letting them substitute, it wore those big guys down. Isn't that right?
Well, it did, and of course, you know, Alabama has a package for every, you know, design down in distance where they are, and you're right, they can get a chance to substitute. But again,
right now, you got to think it's going to be Ohio State coming out of the Big Ten. You got to think it's going to be probably Alabama, and then you got Clemson, but then you got the Pac-12 only played 7 games. You got, you know, the Big 12, I guess.
Michael, that's 7 conference games, not even the playoffs. They'll have 8 if whoever gets the winner in the playoffs.
You go ahead and cancel the Big 12 out. Don't you think the Big 12's done? They're not going to get anybody in the playoffs.
Well, you don't believe Southern Cal will be good?
No, the Big 12, not the Pac-12.
Oh, okay.
Oklahoma and Texas.
You already got Texas. Texas and Oklahoma both have 2 losses, and Iowa State only loss is Louisiana Lafayette. But, you know, now Louisiana Lafayette.
Well, Oklahoma State is the only undefeated team out there for them. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, how do you think this thing is working out, Max? Do you feel like?
I'm going to tell you, with the Southeastern Conference, I mean, it's sportscaster's dream to have this many games to talk about. There's drama every week. You know, the LSU thing, then how Auburn won and then lost one. We just go through game after game. Then Tennessee fires their line coach yesterday. I mean, we go in the line on, on the drama and the content for sports talk. I mean, it's almost like I wish I was back in it full time. You wouldn't have to do anything but just pick up.
Yeah, let me ask you this. Jimmy Brumbaugh played at Auburn and was a well-liked player at Auburn.
He actually came on your show one time, Dad.
Oh yeah, he sure was. Jimmy Brumbaugh been on the show before. He was, in fact, he stayed in the coaching, a lot longer than I thought he would. But there was some, coaches sometimes get in conflicts, personality conflicts. That must be what happened, don't you think?
Yeah, I think it had to be more than just the game, this past week. Now, I've got to give it, Kentucky was fired up, and, they played like everybody thought they could play the whole year. But they had to have been something else going on in Tennessee internally that caused that, that situation to develop like it is. And I just read this morning where Jeremy says he's going to coach the defensive line himself.
Oh, boy.
That sounds good, but I'm not useful. They're going to get beat by 40 or 50 this Saturday.
I tell you what, and the guy has kept a low profile, more of a low profile than any coach in the business is the head coach at Kentucky. They're playing very, very good, and they're playing.
I thought they would be number 3 in the East. I'll be honest.
Yeah,
They got beat by Auburn. I didn't think Auburn could beat them.
Yeah. I don't think Auburn could beat them if they played them again. Right now they're playing good. They're keeping the ball away from you.
I watched the Auburn South Carolina game. I mean, I know Dick had 3 interceptions, but I almost felt like talent-wise on the field, South Carolina was equal to Auburn in talent. That shouldn't be the case.
Well, here's the difference they don't have in South Carolina, Michael, is speed. You see, if you watch it very closely, when those backs will break out, they get run down. They get run down from behind and on the side. They don't have that 4-4, 4-5 or 4-3-5 guy that can break the line of scrimmage and score. Yeah. At that level, when you hit the second level of linebacker, if you got a step, you better outrun everybody else if you want to win.
Of course, this show is brought to you by Pond Stockers. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to stock your pond with Big Bull Brim, call this number today. And also Earl's Glass on South 39th Street right here in Troy. Of course, our show is brought to you by Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks. They're dealing like nobody else deals. And, of course, nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody. And, of course, I also want to mention Troy Bank and Trust Company, the only bank you'll ever need. Now a $1 billion bank located in Troy, Alabama. We'll be back in just a moment. Max Howell, won't you please come?
Our history is woven with the stories of those we serve. At Max, we've been a good community partner for 65 years. Max is dedicated to providing dependable financial services and to supporting our communities. We volunteer our time and share our resources. As a credit union, we've returned millions of dollars back to our members, local nonprofits, and small businesses. Max is honored to be a part of your story. We look forward to serving you for years to come.
Let's rock! It's Rocktober at Premier. Rock out in a new Ram with rock bottom prices. Save up to $17,777 on new Ram Crew Cab. New Jeep Renegade start at $17,988. Shop us now. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
Napa know-how.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa know-how. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa know-how team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Napa know-how.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Fine guy. He's a fine young man. Back to our show brought to you by the Withington Insurance Group, one of the outstanding high school football players of all time at Charles Henderson. was a young man named Johnny Witherington, and of course he is showing what kind of quality individual he is by building up a tremendous insurance company right here in Troy, Alabama, the Witherington Group. How about Hook's Barbecue, Mike? How do you rate it?
I mean, definitely top 5 ribs of all time. But
the ribs are really, really good. And I'll tell you what else is good, Rice, and you get a lot of chicken for your money, is their grilled chicken. They'll grill you a half a chicken, and it is
I just get the barbecue pork plate. Sometimes I get the barbecue sandwich, and they're outstanding.
So what I'm saying, their barbecue is good, their ribs are good, and their barbecue chicken is real good. And I get that a lot for my family. And, of course, we appreciate it. Do you like Kentucky Fried Chicken, Rice? Do you like the regular or the old-fashioned?
I like both of them. I usually get extra. I usually get extra crispy, but I like both of them.
I like original recipe.
I like the original recipe too. Like father, like son. I like the original. And I bought the whole tube the other day, and I had all the chicken I wanted. I had all the all the mashed potatoes and gravy I wanted, and biscuits, and it was really good. Of course, it's getting close to the holiday season, and Max has got some real good recipes out there for you. Max Howell, the football coach, Max Howell, the analyst, Max Howell, the cook. And what did you cook this past weekend, Max? Did y'all do anything?
Yeah, we did. I did something real unusual, Michael. One of the people out houses I attend, they got a big grill out there, kitchen, and they had a copper sheet they put on the gravy grill. And I did a 5-pound hamburger loaf.
What?
And I grilled it on the grill. Then we took it off the grill and put it in a Pyrex. And a lot of people have never tried this, but we smothered it in cooked cabbage and onions, and put a tomato paste over, stuck it in the oven just a little bit to kind of continue to wilt the cabbage and all. Put that over a bed of mashed potatoes.
Oh, God.
It would make your head just spin.
What was it, like a big meatloaf, or what was it?
Yeah, it was like a big meatloaf, exactly right. It had a tomato, had a tomato, I think she puts tomato and onion and peppers and, just a sauce over it. And that mixed with that mashed potatoes, and of course they coleslaw and baked beans with it on the side, the regular traditional sides that everybody loves. But that was the first time I'd done that dish for her. She's a German. She was born and raised in Germany.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna tell you, we're gonna have cabbage a year with every meal with her. Or sauerkraut.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah. Last night, have y'all ever had a Nathan's jumbo hot dog? By Nathan.
Oh yeah.
Nathan's a big.
I've been in the hot dog eating contest.
Well, let me tell you this. Try this. Try Nathan's hot dogs with ketchup and mustard, and then get a good slaw and put it on top of it. Boy, that is a good hot dog with that slaw on top of it.
Mike, and I do love that as well, but I got where I won't eat more hot dogs out anymore. so many restaurants quit putting sauerkraut on them.
That's right. I know, and I like kraut, yeah. But this was just the slaw. The slaw was real good on that hot dog.
I've had that before. It is good. Very good.
Go to Gus's Hot Dogs in Birmingham. They have the special dogs with the spicy ground beef, and kraut, and the onions, and all they put on is mustard. It's the best hot dog ever.
Chris is in Montgomery.
That's real good.
They've been in business 100 years.
Gus's started at 60 feet, but they have the original Gus's and 60 feet. I mean, Birmingham's some of the best hot dog places they ever.
Yeah.
They had Pete's downtown.
Yeah. Well, back in the old days when Max was going to Troy, there weren't many places to eat, but there was a little old hot dog shack right up the street, just right off the campus. Max, do you ever remember eating a hot dog from that place?
Oh yeah, well I don't even remember the name of it now, Mike. Where we ate most, particularly after I came back to coach there, was with Jerry Williams and them.
Oh yeah, the great barbecue. Yeah,
Wilson's
barbecue.
Yeah.
And it was delicious. It sure was. And,
I miss their camp stew. They had the great camp stew.
Hub, the name of that restaurant right off campus was called the Hub.
Yeah.
And Hub Rowland ran that thing, and he had what they call a scramble dog. He would take a foot-long hot dog, and then he would chop it in half and put the relish on it and all that.
You know, you talk about it. Troy has had a lot of iconic restaurants.
Yeah, Green Sandwich Shop.
Green Sandwich Shop's one of Wilson's Barbecue, the Hub. Now you got
Ingram's Restaurant.
Sisters.
Mossy Grove.
Mossy Grove,
Yeah.
yes, sir. Very
Now
good.
you know
They had the Pine Steakhouse.
Yeah.
Rook's Barbecue is moving up into that category.
I hate to, let me just tell you this: you want a good steak, go to Mossy Grove and tell them you want it thick. You don't want the steak unless it's thick. Once they give you that thick steak, they give you a fine steak to eat, and it's all about being thick.
They cut them themselves off the line.
That's right. They cut them themselves. So why not tell them to cut it thick, or you don't want it?
Well, what about Crow's? Crow's Chicken is an iconic restaurant from Troy.
What?
Crow's Chicken.
Oh yeah, Crow's Chicken is about as good as you'll find. Abner's Chicken in Mississippi came out of the same tradition, I think, Max.
You know what we need to do? I need to come down and stay about a week and just you take me around all the finest restaurants in Troy.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'll write a chapter in my next cookbook about it.
Well, how about Julius? Don't you hear this? Eggs over light. You know they've got a buffet. Eggs over light. Then what they did, they took their sausage and they split it in half, and they didn't break it. They just opened it up and they put it on the frying pan, opened up like that, and it made the link sausage so much better. And of course, I asked him was it the sausage out of Evergreen, Alabama, the Kanaka sausage. And they said it was Kanaka sausage, and it was really good.
Talk about restaurant reviews. There's an internet site in Montgomery called Lunch in the Gump. That's the nickname for Montgomery, the Gump. And it's become real popular. There's thousands of people that go and talk about local restaurants. But who actually started that site was my brother and older brother Rush and some of his buddies. They were all anonymous food snobs. And they would go to restaurants anonymously, and then they would write their reviews, and they were always real witty. But you know that they didn't mess with chain or franchise restaurants. It had to be locally owned, and that's just evolved from when they started it. But Lunch in the Gump is a lot of fun to read.
Well, you know, Martin's restaurant in Montgomery, it was a wonderful place for lunch, and they've got that great coconut pie. The other day I went through there, and I just said, give me 2 big pieces of coconut pie. That's what I had for lunch. But they're famous for their pulley bones, Max. And then their cornbread muffin is the best cornbread muffin that I believe I've ever eaten. Where you?
Man, I'll tell you, to me, that's the gauge. That's really the gauge of a good restaurant.
Yeah. You remember Martin's, don't you? Over the years, you've probably eaten at Martin's, you know. And
sure have.
Exactly. Now, you used to work with a guy that was a heck of a football player and a heck of a football coach. He was the head football coach at Florella for years, and they loved him. Did you know that? Parker White?
Oh, I knew Parker.
You remember, but you know, Parker was a good player, and he was a very successful. He was a very successful insurance guy too, wasn't he?
I recruited his son to come to Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Abner.
And Abner ended up going to Ole Miss, like you said, and
you know what Abner does now? He's got about 10 chicken restaurants.
Oh yeah, called Abner's, yeah.
There's a Parker White that is the field goal kicker for South Carolina. Do you think he's kin to that Parker White?
No, but Parker White's grandson is a wide receiver, walk-on wide receiver at Ole Miss. He played what's the big school out of Pensacola? Where? Niceville. He played high school at Niceville, and he's quite a player. Parker White. Abner White's mama lives right here in Troy, the beautiful old section of Troy called Hillcrest, and and she's a wonderful person. Wonderful person.
I'll tell you, my first introduction was Sonny Queen sparkle white.
That's right.
You don't think that wasn't a combination?
I'm glad you knew Sonny Queen. I'm glad you knew Sonny Queen.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I'm telling you, you ought to go out with him one night.
I know it. And they were such competitors.
You better pray you get home.
I know it, and you throw Albert Elmore in there with them. You remember Albert Elmore?
Oh, yeah.
And of course, he's a well-known golfer in Montgomery, but he, of course, played quarterback at Alabama, and
right.
But those all had Troy ties, and of course, the great Sonny Queen was a good football coach, and
he absolutely was.
But when they went together against each other in insurance, they were so competitive. Those guys were so competitive.
I love to think about all those days. Bro.
Yeah, no question about it. And one of their favorite places they loved to hang out was there in Cloverdale, Mike. They were so good.
Captain Harry's?
Captain Harry's. They loved to go to Captain Harry's. And it was a great place for people to...
Yeah, it was an institution in Montgomery. The Jubilee Seafood, the Lunch and the Gump snobs say that Jubilee Seafood is the best restaurant in
Wait
Montgomery.
a minute, what did you say? Lunch and what?
Lunch and the Gump.
Oh, gosh. Well,
I think Jubilee Seafood is the best restaurant in Montgomery. I'll agree with my brother and his cronies.
Well, let me tell you another place that's not here anymore had the best stuffed flounder you've ever eaten. In fact, you had to order it ahead. They'd only get a certain amount of flounders every weekend, to cook at the restaurant. It was located in downtown Montgomery, right there next to the
Eli?
Eli.
The Eli.
The famous Eli. You remember the Eli, Max?
Absolutely.
Well,
we'd make reservations on. We didn't go out much when I was a kid, but my mom and dad, about once a month, we'd make reservations and we'd be there right after church.
Yeah.
No, that was the Eli was it was.
Well, the Eli had that.
It might have been considered the best restaurant in Alabama.
Yeah, that's right. Next to the Bright Star in Bessemer was a great restaurant.
The Sahara was around for a long time.
The Sahara was where all the governors ate, and I used to eat lunch there a lot. If you eat lunch there, Governor Wallace used to eat there almost every day.
Did he? I bet.
And
well, look, Nick Saban's got up his own booth now. Coach Bryant had his own booth there. I mean, it's world renowned.
Yeah.
And guys, I think they told me the last time I was there about a month or two ago. I was back there asking them because the booth stays consistent. It has for years and years and years. But I think the youngest cook in that kitchen at the Bright Star has been there 40 plus years.
Wow.
Right, and Coach Bryant used to eat there all the time, and it was a wonderful, wonderful place to eat. And,
I got to eat there right before Dad passed away. There was a little reunion of some of his former teammates, and I drove him up there, and so I'm glad I finally got to eat at the Bright Star.
I bet you did, yeah. Of course, my wife's family, the Crows, are have a big family in Birmingham, big family. And every year you'd have what we call the Crow Christmas party. Well, we had it at the Bright Star, and when it was all over, I looked at our bill, and you wouldn't believe it. They thought they were all-American restaurant. I like that. I almost asked them if I could do the dishes. You know what I mean?
Max, have you watched this cooking show or restaurant show they have on the SEC network where they profile restaurants in the South, and they tie the stories of the restaurants into the community and the culture? It's really well done, and one of the first profiles they did was of the Bright Star.
Yeah, and there's no question.
Yeah, of course they've been around, 1907 or 1910 or something like that.
And
it's still in the same building.
I used to eat lunch once a week there.
Well, let me tell you what. Let me tell you something else, and this might sound funny to a lot of people. They had their seafood brought in by air. I mean, what I'm saying, they had to get fresh seafood, they had to send a plane down there and pick it up and bring it back.
They're in with all the Commander's Palace folks in New Orleans.
Michael, what's the restaurant in downtown Birmingham that has such the national reputation, and their cook?
John's restaurant.
The Highlands, or?
Yeah, Chris Hastings has Hot and Hot, and then Hollins is Frank Stentz. He owns Bottega and Hollins.
Yeah, the Bottega and Highlands, they've got national reputations.
And of course, we lost a very good restaurant owner just this past month. And Mike, he was sort of a member of the family a little bit, wasn't he?
Saul's Barbecue.
Yeah, and that was that white barbecue sauce, Max. The white barbecue sauce. You familiar with that?
Right.
Hey, is Ollie still around? I remember people talking about
Ollie's closed. That was I never met my father-in-law, but apparently that was his favorite place.
I remember Dad bragging about Ollie's. And then Twix and Tween, it was...
yeah, they finally closed it down. And, you know, again, they had great pie, too, at Twix and Tween. And they were, a lot of people didn't realize that they were open 24 hours a day.
That's right. I miss Morrison's. What did Morrison's?
I know.
Oh, boy, I love
what did happen to Morrison's? It was great.
Automobile, of course, and it was a great place to eat. And, you know, we see there a lot.
Did they sell out?
Dad used to eat at Huntington cafeteria every day, and the reason you ate at Huntington, Dad, is Morrison's cooked the food, didn't they?
Yeah, that's right. It was the best deal. I think for $3, I ate all the Morrison's food I wanted at Huntington College.
I made that point that Morrison's was a iconic restaurant in the South, and it's from Alabama. And Ruby Tuesdays was started by an Alabama family, I believe.
I'm going to throw out two other people that were very good friends of yours, Max. One, of course, is old Tank Mitchell. You and Tank Mitchell were pretty good friends too, weren't you? And he was a little bitty nose tackle at Alabama, weighed about 180, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he not recently passed away.
Oh,
I don't know. I don't know about
his son Ken was a fraternity brother of mine. So
Ken Mitchell. Okay.
Yeah,
well, of course, you know the great John Fairclough. Of course, about as tough as they come. You know, John's doing well.
That was my college roommate.
And I heard he was cancer free. God bless his soul. You know.
I talk to him about once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And he's doing very, very well.
Have y'all read that Rush Limbaugh is not doing real well?
Well, I hate that, man. I tell you.
I mean, I've read different stories, but one of them said it's terminal cancer, stage 4 lung cancer.
Well, I hate that.
Let's predict some games. Nebraska traveling to Ohio State on Fox at 11 a.m. on Saturday. Ohio State is 26.5-point favorite.
Doesn't that surprise you that it's that high? When Nebraska's going to play them fairly tough, aren't they?
Why?
I don't know. I mean, they're physical. Aren't
I can tell you, Scott Frost took that job, over the Florida job, because I think he thought that, the opportunities there were much better. But I'm going to say this to you. You let them go 1-8 or 1-7, what they play in 8 games, I guess. They'll be making a coaching change in Nebraska after this year, I think.
Oh,
the big game here, Auburn travels to Ole Miss, 11 a.m. on SEC Network. What do you think?
Well, if they don't get some situations ironed out, Mike, with that offensive front at Auburn, Ole Miss will beat them on the field.
So you think right now that they can't block you? Is that right?
Well, let me just tell you, there's so much turmoil going on internally at Auburn. If they don't get it straightened out by a win, and they got to have a win, and I think they got to win convincingly for them to settle that out. So Ole Miss should not win. Auburn should win that ball game, and I think they would have. Is that line like at 3 or 4?
Yeah, about 3. Auburn's favored by about 3.
And who you think?
3.5.
You don't think Ole Miss will beat Auburn, do you?
I can tell you, if Auburn plays like they did against South Carolina, Ole Miss will beat about 2 touchdowns.
The quarterback's not as good as they thought. Is that right? At Auburn?
Right. I get Auburn. The point is, Mike, he's not getting coached up. Go back and look at how many times have we said the Auburn situation, Gus Malzahn's program, the most consistent thing about him is inconsistency. And that's all about coaching.
Yeah.
It's all about coaching. He can't make a decision. Is he going to let Marsh call the plays again? Is he going to get back involved now? I mean, it just happens every year with him.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to say this.
You know, yeah.
I think it's going to be a really good ball game. That's one of the lines at 3.5.
You know, Max, you know.
You got Alabama going to Tennessee. Do you see any letdown after the big Georgia win from Alabama?
Alabama will beat Tennessee by 40. I'm telling you, Tennessee got exposed is what they did with Kentucky. And again, I was thinking that they would move the program up a notch. Again, if you watch the talent level, guys, they don't have talent there yet. They're another 2 or 3 years away before Tennessee can get back to the level that they need to be.
The difference in Alabama and the rest of the folks is a word called balance. Alabama is balanced, and if you're not balanced, you're dang sure not going to beat them. Is that right?
That's true. That's the first step, Mike. And they're so well coached. Alabama will make a mistake down there, but they'll correct that thing immediately on the sideline. And that's the thing that a lot of key teams can't do. Yeah. They go in with a game plan. If that game plan don't work, they lose. Yeah. And that's what happened to Ole Miss against Arkansas. Ole Miss had never seen that defense that they threw against it. Yeah. But
I'll say Steve said Sarkisian's earning this $2.1 million about this point.
You know what? He's going to get a big job. He'll get a big job next year from somebody, wherever because of him.
Yeah, if he's quit drinking, he'll get what he's
I didn't know he had a problem with drinking.
Oh yeah, he would go to USC at best. Just drunk.
Yeah. Okay.
He should recruits and.
He's done a great job at Alabama. A lot of people though don't realize that Saban's a hands-on coach. I mean, he watches film. He don't sit back and just rake his money in. He works for it, doesn't he?
Well, I got to give him credit. He came off being sick last week. He only threw his headset one time. That was at the official. If you remember when Kiffin was there, it was a sideshow, guys. Every week, I loved it.
Yeah.
Get up there. But anyway, you're right. It is his program, and it's been successful. What else can you say?
And another thing about
Indiana, that's going to be a good game in the Big Ten. Penn State, Indiana was pretty good last year. Let's see, another game that'll be great in the Big 12. Iowa State will travel to Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's only a 3.5-point favorite at home against Iowa State.
That's what I like Iowa State in that situation.
I kind of like Oklahoma State with that number.
Max, just think how long these guys have been practicing. They've been practicing since June. Really, these guys are so sick of football. It's pitiful.
That is true.
But don't you agree, though, they've actually been practicing since June?
That you can hone your skills by doing that, Mike. But it ain't nothing like a ball game.
No, it's what I'm saying. It's a big difference.
They haven't been practicing tackling much because the tackling this year is awful. I mean,
the only people I've seen that can tackle, is, believe it or not, is Georgia. Boy, they can tackle.
Well, I mean,
interesting game here. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, it's an interesting game here. Kentucky travels to Missouri. Of course, Missouri's coming off the big upset win over LSU. Missouri's found the quarterback. The line is 4.5. Will Kentucky win at Missouri?
Boy, that's going to be a good
Who's the favorite, Missouri?
Kentucky.
Okay.
Kentucky is, yeah.
And it turns out that Missouri is pretty good on defense. I think Missouri is going to beat Kentucky.
Well, my point is, Kentucky, can they get them back up again as high as they had them against Tennessee? I mean, they played as well as they could play, I think, against Tennessee. The defense, they picked 2 or 3 and ran them in. And, it wouldn't surprise me to see Missouri win, but there's a reason Kentucky's favored there. Kentucky's a better football team when they play as a full team.
South Carolina at LSU, ESPN, 6 p.m. LSU's a 6.5-point favorite at home against South Carolina.
Yeah.
And then they're playing without their quarterback, too. They're playing without the quarterback.
That's right.
Yeah, the quarterback's hurt.
Might be the best thing ever happened to him, though, Max. What do you think? I mean, really.
You go back and look at, Oceanian's got a challenge because they got so much expectation after coming up that championship year. But they got more talent than South Carolina. So, whether they get it together or not, the pressure's on him, though, to make that, to beat that for him. So I think he knows that. LSU wins that ball game, and I think they cover as well.
You know,
Game of the day right here in Michigan. Harbaugh goes in to play against the great PJ in Minnesota. Michigan's 3.5 at Minnesota. ABC 6:30. This is what Big Ten football is all about.
Yeah, I know Jim Harbaugh fan.
you know, I think they're overrated. I think both of them are overrated. One of the pros might be better.
And then out west later you got Hawaii at Fresno State. Dad, who you like there?
Oh boy, throughout is Hawaii as good as they were last year? They got the same people.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize Hawaii won 10 games last year.
And where are they playing this game?
This game will be in Fresno.
I don't know. It's going to be a heck of a game then. It's going to be a great game.
No fans. It's a Big Ten game, so that's I wish they would at least let 20% go.
Now tell me this, you guys. Why do they have the green V on their helmets?
Where?
Have you ever noticed a Fresno helmet? It has a green V on it.
Mike, I don't even.
Yeah, that's for the Silicon Valley.
Oh, is it? Is he a guru or not?
Live and learn. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Of course, you got local Georgia State who scored 52 and lost last week against Arkansas State. They're travel to Troy. Their only win is against East Carolina. They went to overtime. Louisiana Lafayette. Troy's 3-1, coming off a miracle win. 2.5 point favorite in Troy. ESPNU 3 p.m. Over under 68.5. I say Georgia State wins this one.
All right, Georgia State is what did you say their record was?
1-2. Their only loss is overtime to Louisiana Lafayette, and they lost at Arkansas State by 7.
All right, so they've lost some good football teams. That's going to be a great game. Max, have you ever seen a team faster tempo-wise than Georgia State?
No, I'm telling you, I've said that before, Mike. Until you watch them play, that team just didn't come out of nowhere. I coached at that level a long time, and I'm just telling you, guys, you don't get the kind of athletes. They got a half a dozen NFL players.
Yeah, I know it.
I'm telling you, those kids either transferred in or the academics are much lower than most. They could get them in where other schools couldn't. Well, they got some talent on that football team there.
So it's going to be a real test for Troy. If they could get by, they'd give them 4 wins. You know, we just got so many things to look for. Homecoming at Troy is a 3:00 kickoff, and it can be seen on ESPNU. Is that right, Mike?
Yeah, ESPNU. I think that covers to like 12 million people at least will be able to watch the game.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch and so forth. Max, you sit back and watch a lot of games, don't you?
Saturday, I sit down at 11 o'clock in the morning. I get up at midnight. I've got 2 big screens. Yeah, I get really involved in about 6 games.
Yeah.
So you have 2 screens. You can watch 2 games at once.
Yeah, I can do 2 at once.
Golly.
Yeah.
Good.
One of the best games Friday is UAB's 4-1 and they host Lafayette. It's 3-1.
Right.
That game's going to be 7 o'clock on Friday night. I can't wait to watch that.
Well, what do y'all think about that one? I want to hear.
I like UAB. I think UAB will beat them.
Vegas likes Lafayette because Lafayette's only a 1.5 point underdog in Birmingham.
Yeah.
That's going to be a good ball game. It really is. I like Bill Clark.
Yeah.
He's done a really good job there. He's done a good job everywhere he's ever been.
That's right. No question about it.
You know,
How about Mississippi State? Who are they playing this week?
Who's the hottest coaches out there right now? Billy Napier at Lafayette, Clark at UAB. Your favorite coach, Hugh Freeze at Liberty's 5-0. Who's some other hot coaches out there?
well, I'm going to tell you, Napier's stock has fallen, though, this year.
I think he has a little bit, too.
Yeah, but he beat Iowa State at the start of the season.
Yeah. Let me ask this. Y'all didn't say a word about Mississippi State. Who they play?
Well, they're off this week. But
Okay.
they've already had the Slater kids transferring out. They've already lost Keyshawn Thompson. The word I've gotten is that Costello may transfer as well.
Oh, gosh.
They're going to start the freshman next week.
Oh, me.
And, well, it's a different. Leach has got a great track record and all, guys, but he brings a different environment to an SEC school. You got to remember he's at Mississippi State, and that environment there is different from most other schools. So, and I don't know how his adjustments yet that he's made personally with the, with the staff and basically with his players. It's some turmoil going on down there right now.
Yeah, it's amazing how this quarterback can look like Superman one weekend and then look like Jane the next one.
Well, he ain't comprehended what Leach wants yet.
Yeah.
For some reason, and I don't know whether it's a communication problem or what. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Costello's been around a while. I mean, he was at Sam for what, 3 years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no question.
He's a graduate transfer.
Yeah. Want to mention our good friends at Premier Dodge Chrysler Jeep and Ram Trucks on the bypass right here in Troy, and Troy Bank and Trust Company. Remember, Troy Bank and Trust Company is the only bank you'll ever need. And I want to say hello to Rick and all the great people here at Troy Regional Medical Center, one of the great local hospitals in Alabama, and we appreciate them very much. And of course, all of our sponsors that mean so much to us, the Cinco Drugs, Bird Drugs on the Square in downtown Troy, and some wonderful, wonderful sponsors here this morning with the with our buddy Max Howell. And of course, Max, what does Wimp and all them say? Do they always want you to give them a score or what?
Listen, I do Monday and Thursday morning with them. I'm the first guy on with them on Monday morning when they open up, and so I have to prep myself. They take a few calls, but it's Wimp and his son Barry that run that show. And of course, now they change stations. They go into Birmingham as well.
Yeah.
And they get a good audience in there. So you kind of better be prepared when you line. And don't ever think Will Sampson doesn't know anything about football.
I know.
He'll ask you some really thought-provoking questions sometimes, and he's usually right. And he usually either knows the answer. He just seems to do.
Yeah.
So.
Birmingham.
Barry coached in the SEC, South Carolina, right? And he coached at A&M, and he's the head coach at Tuscaloosa Academy. He won the state championship against Pine Liberal Arts in basketball this year.
That's right.
So he does a radio show in the morning, and he's the basketball coach in the afternoon.
Yeah, TA, private school.
Yeah.
My cousin played at basketball at TA. Yeah, they were a dynasty in basketball.
Well, Max, something very important. I know you got to cook. What you got going this week?
Well, they usually call me they'll probably call me this afternoon and tell me what they want to do. But it's getting close. It's going to be we're in the Indian summer up here right now. I mean, it's going to be hot. We're going to be down on the river, and normally this time of year, they like a variation. We won't do a heavy meal. We won't do steaks and the Mississippi mud pie. They like that for cold weather. So I'll be anxious to see what.
It's the last day of dove season, isn't Saturday the last day of dove season, or?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is. It is.
So they might want to eat those birds. They have a big bird supper.
Yeah, they'll go early that morning and have ready. We do two cooking style of birds. We'll do one on the grill. We'll just take the breast and wrap it in bacon and grill it. Then the other they like that deep fried bird.
Max, a good friend of ours. We want everybody to pray for Sim Bird, who is fighting for his life at a hospital in Montgomery. He's fought it for 3 weeks, and I tell you, he's battling it with everything he's got.
I hadn't heard anything in the last few days, Mike.
Well, he's still, in intensive care, and of course, it's something that everybody's very concerned about. And I know a lot of people are praying for him. The great Sim Bird, ladies and gentlemen, and he's showing some progress, and hopefully it'll continue.
Good. I hope so too. I really do.
Well, Max, again, we appreciate you being on our show as usual, and of course. I know everybody asks you which game do you think is going to give you their best chance of winning this weekend. Which game would you think that'd be?
Well, I'm getting to the point now where, Mike, I'm really only going to watch and pay attention to those top 4 or 5 teams. for the playoffs.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm going to watch Tennessee, obviously Tennessee and Alabama, and because Alabama's done so well, and I've got some very good ends now to get some background on what they're doing. That's one, and I'll get a chance to watch Clemson. I will get a chance to watch Ohio State for the first time this week. So I'll kind of narrow it down. Then I'll flip in on Auburn and Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Guys, you gotta look at Arkansas. They've come. I mean, Pittman may get.
He's right now he's doing the best job of coaching. He's not pretty, but he knows how to coach, doesn't he?
Absolutely. I mean, he won't make the front page of DQ or anything. I'm telling you, the guy's got a handle on what's happening over there.
No
they
question
led
about
him to death. I'll tell you.
All right, while we're thinking about it, your pick again on.
Arkansas's got an off week. I mean, what if Auburn loses to Ole Miss? How big will that hot seat be for Belmont?
I think both of those, Michael. I think that game is very important to both their programs right. Again, less will weather the storm later because that $21 million buyout.
That's what I'm saying. He's not going anywhere unless somebody wants to pay him $20 million. I mean, I don't believe there's a better buyout in sports than he's got.
Now, other than Muschamp got 15, Mike, in South Carolina.
Well, I thought I thought he had 20. How much does he have?
Muschamp's got 15 on his buyout, and Gus has got 21. I think that's
21. Gosh.
Jimbo Fisher had 75 million guaranteed.
Oh, does he? Yeah.
The difference in Michael is out there, they got a half a dozen people can write that shit.
Well, one thing about the coach at South Carolina, he wins this weekend at South Carolina, and let me tell you, he keeps his job, don't you think?
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. I agree. I think if he wins 3 or 4, he's gonna keep his job.
Yeah, I got you.
I think he'll get. I told you, my daughter's got season tickets, and she works at the Supreme Court Justice Office, and also she hears all the political talk all the time. And she called me every night or two and gives me an update. She said that this is still rumbling about it, but the big win this past week was huge for him. And if he gets 1 or 2 more, he'll ride the storm.
Yeah, he'll ride the storm, no question about it. It's all about winning. Thank you so much, Max, and we appreciate it. We'll see you again next Wednesday. Thank you here.
Next week. All right, guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you, Max.
Max Howell, and of course we appreciate him so very much being a part of our show, and hope you've enjoyed our show today, and we'll catch us again at 1:30 on Today in L.A. See you tomorrow. All right, Ryan.
Hope's barbecue.
I got to go to Montgomery.
I noticed you're dressed up.
Yeah. A friend of mine's, well, it actually is going to be in Thompson Station, Alabama, if you know where that is.
Well,
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever. At the Piggly Wiggly,